is the Grassroots Education and Entertainment Network, your number one source of information, education, and entertainment. For honest, responsible, and dependable information, we stand supreme. To stay focused, inspired, and relaxed, choose green.
Ekabo, everyone, and welcome to the traditional herbal health discussion with our host, Coach Ian T. We're not hearing you here. You may have to put your microphone on.
Alafia, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be back on the program with you guys.
Okay, well, as usual, we are going to start off the show with the reading of an essay IFA. This evening's reading is from Odi Otura. It reads, "The spade, the one who takes care of the well-being of Earth, cast for Alara, king of Ara, who was advised to sacrifice in order for his family to be dispersed, not to be dispersed, but to be united instead." Um, that is the end of the essay IFA reading for this afternoon. So I will now turn you over to the host, Coach Iante, to introduce this afternoon's topic.
Okay, so this afternoon we are going to speak about useful remedies. Hold on, to treat painful urination. Okay, I'm trying to be synchronized this afternoon.
Painful urination, you say, is the topic for this evening?
Yes, it is.
Wow. Okay. That is that is a common problem, isn't it, for men and for
For
people
both
with
men,
urinary tract infection?
for both men and women, and very often we tend to blame it to urinary tract infection without really looking into the other possible causes of this discomfort. But because we're speaking about pain in the genitals, people would be often shy, to probably go to a naturopath or to go to an herbalist and explain, I'm having this problem, and
Especially men, right?
well, I'm a woman. I can't tell you for men, but I could tell you for a fact that men don't really come to me for this. I usually handle ladies with this problem.
Okay.
So I know that it is also a problem with men. But what would usually happen with men is that when men experience a problem with the genitals, they would suffer with it until they can't bear it anymore. When really, they start to experience other
Mhm.
symptoms like erectile dysfunction, uh, uh, premature ejaculations and so on. There's a time where you can fake it anymore, and usually it's unfortunately kind of late to tackle the problem naturally. Okay, so we want to say this afternoon that dysuria or painful urination does not necessarily mean that you have a urinary tract infection, and it
Okay.
does not necessarily mean neither that you have an STD, because the STD part is the reason why people usually would feel shy about expressing the problem. Because sometimes if you
Okay.
speak maybe to like a grandmother or so on, she might know, and she might tell you, okay, use a, because like some of the tips I'm gonna give this afternoon are very, very, very simple tips. And
Okay.
just to have the guts to ask, can really help people. And
Okay.
also we're gonna look at the fact that other symptoms that you have to look out for to know whether yours is infectious or not. And really, if after a few days you can't manage it, then as usual, recommend that you seek medical help. All
Okay.
right.
As you
Okay.
mentioned, medical help. You're gonna do the disclaimer now, aren't you?
I'm coming to the disclaimer.
Okay.
Right. So once again, coaching and see your friendly co-host. I'm a doctor of naturopathy and I have my own practice here in St. Martin. I'm also a holistic coach. And it is my pleasure, to be back every time on the Grassroots Education and Entertainment Network for us to speak about those tips of our tradition to stay healthy and to have the maximum um, energy, the best health, the best potential. My focus in life is to always wake up every day and try to be the best version of yourself. And this means to also be as healthy as you can. Without health, there
Okay.
is absolutely no wealth, there's no career, there's anything that's going to be okay if you do not have the health. Else, you're working in vain. Okay? So the official term for painful urination will be dysuria, and we describe that as a discomfort or the stinging with urination. So usually it is felt in the urethra. We remember that I am French, so let's not mind my accent. And the urethra is the tube that carries the urine out of your bladder or the perineum area, which is surrounding your genitals. So usually, it means that you're going to feel pain or a burning sensation while you urinate or pee, because maybe you may have like younger viewers, and urinate, I mean when you pee. Okay, so men or women of any age can actually experience this, but it is actually more common in women. So the
Okay.
treatment is going to depend on the cause of your discomfort. Okay, and usually people end up using antibiotics. Okay, but the problem is that when you use the antibiotic, you are going to get a relief of the burning sensation without addressing the cause, meaning that sooner or later it's going to be back. And then, it's like you take a subscription to using those things all the time without really ever addressing the problem. Okay,
Okay.
one of the problem usually might also be using the antibiotics. Okay, because it is very often acidic, and the acid has to come out of your body, so using it too often, can make matters worse. Also, I want to take the time to probably address women in particular. um, Women, we tend to always use all type of cosmetics. I'm gonna say we, although like I'm really the type who use everything natural, but we like to smell good, we like to smell fresh, we like to be powdered, we use all manners of cosmetics. I would like to remind you that the ingredient of your cosmetics are also very important to consider, because often it may create an irritation, a skin irritation, and because it is absorbed by your skin at that particular area around your genitals, it might manifest also in this burning sensation while you are urinating or after. So the symptoms in women, they can be internal or they could be external. The pain could be outside the vaginal area, and you may notice that you may also have a rash. So chances are this has happened to you. Okay, I know that many women, they experience this when they have a new sexual partner, and it can happen. It's like sometimes time for the alchemy to come together. The body needs a time of adjustment, but there's nothing to be worried about when it is tackled with wisdom and early. Okay, itching is sometimes associated also. You notice that most women who experience this burning sensation have this itching between their legs.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna address you shortly. Facebook user, we can't see your name, but I greet you this afternoon and thank you for participating. Um, Pain can occur at the start of urination or immediately after urination. Um, okay, I thought we had another question. An immediate reaction is to assess that the feeling is the urinary tract infection. But again, as I said this evening, we are going to look a little deeper into it. So that's when the disclaimer finally comes in. That's when I preach. So the information we share in this series are for your empowerment and educational purposes and should not replace your personal assessment or the guidance or consultation of a physician. Please do not dismiss overnight any medical protocol you may be currently using, or delay seeking medical advice because you are accessing and using the information provided in this series. So Other causes of inflammation of the urethra, as we said, can be sexually transmitted infection. It can be also vaginitis, which is a soreness and swelling around the vagina. It is easily treatable as long as it is non-infectious. Okay, but I
Okay.
also want to point out that for men, it can also mean that there might be a foreign body lodged into the urinary tract. So there are men sometimes who experience like kidney stones when it's coming out of the kidney, and when they pee, then it's blocking the urethra. And there's nothing more painful when like the urine is actually pushing this little stone to pass from a tiny little tube. It is very painful. Very often, people have to end up going to the hospital or to the doctor or receive a treatment to dissolve those stones. Okay, so there are several steps you can take to reduce that discomfort. And the first one is always going to be to drink a lot of water. That's the first step we're always going to recommend. Because whatever is going wrong in your body needs to be flushed. To always, increase the amount of water that you are drinking before you run to any medication or any herb. Drink water.
Yeah, could I
Most
ask a
important.
question?
Sure.
Would that be any particular type of water or spring water, distilled water, or could we use normal pipe water?
Well, according to where you live, you might drink pipe water. It depends. I know that when I live in Dominica, in certain areas, we used to drink pipe water because it would come straight from the spring. But this was over 20 years ago. I mean, not drinking from the pipe anymore, even if it come from this from the. It's like because nowadays even the stream can be polluted. Okay,
Okay.
however, some brands of water are more acidic than the others, so you may want to ensure that the water that you drink have a more or less neutral pH or as alkaline as possible. Okay, rainwater is always great. I mean, my years of living in Anguilla, 100% rainwater all the time, and we will not sick as often as drinking water from other places.
Okay.
Right? So we were saying that it is important that you drink a lot of water, and you may realize that sometimes if you drink a lot of water, it can just pass on its own. Why? Because often this burning sensation is associated to the food that you eat. We in the Caribbean, I'm just gonna speak for us in the Caribbean, or those of us of Caribbean parents and so on. We like spicy food. I have lived in other country, including in France, where it's perfectly okay to take the meat, and you just put it, you don't put any spice in it, and here you are, you have it. But it's like in the Caribbean culture, we really like to season it. You like to feel like there's a lot of pepper, a lot of flavor, and so on. Too much flavor is not good, or too much spice, it's not good in your food. That's something that we have to hear, and we have to make effort at time, especially when your body is not functioning properly. So if your
Okay.
body is already imbalanced, you may want to ease up on how much spice you're consuming, especially the pepper. I'm first guilty in this. I have seasons where really I exaggerate on the pepper, but usually if you eat too spicy, whenever you go to the bathroom, you're going to remember that your plate was too heavily, too heavily seasoned. Okay.
Okay.
Next, we said that it occurs in women more than. Is this your phone or mine?
That's mine. I corrected
Okay, all right.
I corrected the problem. Go ahead.
That is okay. All right. So, of course, this we said earlier that it happens to women more often than men because of the use of cosmetics. So, the people who are higher risk to develop dysuria, you would find pregnant women because they urinate a whole lot more because there's so much going on in the body that pregnant women may experience, and unfortunately, dysuria more than other people. Men and women with diabetes as well, okay, and people who are experiencing inflammation of the bladder. So for women, this can be the result of a bladder infection, a vaginal infection, a urinary tract infection, but also endometriosis. Okay, I have a problem with that word, but
Endometriosis. You said
thank
it
you very
correctly.
Thank you. I'm practicing. Trust me on my accent, but we'll get there. Okay, and it can also be caused as a result of sexual intercourse. Um, I'm trying to use the proper word that may not be too self satisfaction or self pleasure, if I can say,
Okay.
because I'm not sure how old are the people. How old is the audience? It can be also, especially, it happened as a result of people who use lubricants. Women at a certain
Okay.
age will need to use lubricants according to the way their health has been before.
Okay.
Uh, so, like, especially when you approach menopause time, very
Mm-hmm.
often women do need to use a lubricant. And everybody run and buy those commercial lubricant. Listen, if you need lubricant, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's better to use a natural lubricant. It's just best to use natural oil than to use something that comes with flavor. And sometimes we like it because it smells good, but remember that all those things are chemicals, and very often continued use is going to create an irritation. Okay.
Okay. But yeah, the thing is on the commercial market,
Mm-hmm.
they tend to tout all these flavored synthetic products for those uses as lubrication.
Mm-hmm.
So are you saying that people should definitely avoid all these products with the chemicals
With
and
my
the
body.
artificial flavor and all that artificial fragrance, sorry, not flavor, fragrance for these products?
When you're going to use lubricant, you are going to use it on your internal tissues, meaning it's going directly on your membranes and it's going to be absorbed into your bloodstream a whole lot faster than maybe if you just pass it on your arm or on your leg, any other part of your skin. My question is, would you take the same lubricant, whether it smells good, whether it has special flavor, special taste, and put it straight to your mouth and eat it?
No, of
So
course not.
therefore, if it's not something you could put straight to the mouth and eat, and that you could have it as a casual snack, breakfast, lunch, dinner, maybe you should want to use a more natural solution. Okay, there's
Okay.
nothing wrong with occasional use,
Mhm.
but there are times when those become like just deliberate in the sexual lifestyle of individual, and they rely on those things for every particular encounter, and this is not healthy at all. You would find women
Okay.
after who develop issues with scent,
Hmm.
and so now for the scent they end up using even more chemicals, more lotion. They use a lot of douche, and they are only destroying the flora more and more. And then you end up by the gynecologist who's gonna prescribe you with an antibiotics, and you're gonna get a chance for the time being, and then it's gonna keep on reoccurring.
Reoccurring.
Sometimes we
Okay.
just need to go to the root of the problem, okay, and just understand that natural is always better
Okay,
for the
but
body.
then, Doc, I have a question.
Sure.
The continuous or prolonged use of antibiotics in women, doesn't
Mhm.
that eventually result in yeast infection?
Also, especially if those are women who probably use a lot of cheese and dairy in their diet, a lot of fresh food, and probably women who do not detox as often as they should.
Mhm.
Women who tend to eat a lot of heavy refined food during their menstrual cycle, meaning that the
Okay.
body doesn't get a chance to flush itself enough. Okay, so
Okay.
those women will eventually develop other imbalances that will lead to yeast infection as well.
Okay.
Okay. Another thing that women use, scented toilet paper or scented wipe. Contraceptive as well could cause you to develop this type of imbalance, but also the spermicide. Okay, so the spermicide that could cause the problem to the women, just like it could cause it to the men. A natural spermicide, what we're talking about it is neem oil. Okay, but natural neem oil. Okay, for men, so painful urination for men, it may be the result of a urinary tract infection, but also prostate disease. So men Whenever it is burning, you don't play with it. You have to act upon it quickly. Apart from prostate disease, it can also be a sign of cancer. All right, so that's why for men, it is very important to act upon the painful urination right away. So sometimes we may not want to tell the partner, especially maybe if we have a few of them. And I see you smiling.
Yeah, I don't know what to do.
I'm speaking openly because it is common knowledge that in the Caribbean, our families are the way they are. So it's often, people may have more than one partner. And I'm not there to judge whether it is okay or it is not okay. All right. We all adults and we choose a lifestyle that we want. So it is true that, the imbalance in one partner can easily be transferred to the other through intercourse.
Definitely,
So
definitely.
if the man himself find himself having, this discomfort, he may not go to the partner and say, I have the problem, because then the reaction might be, where did you pick it up? Because right away, once we have, the painful sensation, the first thing we think about is it is a sexual
Transmitted
infection.
disease.
But it's
Mm.
not necessarily a sexual infection, but that's the first reaction. And then, instead of going to the trouble of a woman being vexed and making noise, we suck it up a little bit. We're gonna try to take a little over the counter medicine. We're just gonna try different things until maybe it is too late. But you have to understand as a man that if you are experiencing this sensation, even while you are emitting sperm, you are going to emit, the same imbalance into the canal of somebody else. So sooner or later, it's going to be a problem for more than one person. So it is better to address it right away. Now,
Okay, so then here I have a question.
sure.
So therefore, is it safe to say
Mhm,
that if you have a female client
mhm.
that has one of these infections, that you may have to treat both her and her partner or
Well, the way
partners?
I am, I ask, how many partners do you have? Okay. And if you have more than one, we're preparing something for everybody. Okay.
Okay,
It is better. And this way, it cures faster.
okay.
It cures
So
faster.
so there is no reinfection taking place.
Exactly, exactly. Also, sometimes we gotta be a little bold. When you take a step to have to live a holistic lifestyle, and you try to be healthy and so on, you try your best to have a partner who also live that life. Okay, for example, like if you're not eating meat, you're not eating, like, you don't drink sodas and you don't drink alcohol and so on, and you're going to pick up a partner who use those things, this person is going to experience acidity in their body a whole lot more than you do. And therefore, now this person might experience dysuria and cause you to have that imbalance as well. Whereas, it's
Okay,
not really fair because you're making an effort to live that lifestyle. Okay. So, for example, Iya is not married, and so very often when Iya is approached by people and I see the way they eat, I smile and I'm like, hey, not me, just because the way they eat. All right, because you can't make, like, for me, it's like if you're investing all the time to live in a certain way, you don't you don't gamble it just for
yeah,
that moment. But
yeah, yeah.
again, we all make choices. Okay, now if you do, there's nothing wrong. As women, we have other tips that we can handle to deal with this, and this is steaming, but we're going to speak about the steaming afterwards.
Yeah,
So,
but before you go on here, I think you mentioned something very important because beside the pleasures of sex, you also have the exchange of energy. So if you're a person who's practicing a healthy lifestyle and you get involved with someone who does not practice a healthy lifestyle, chances are you may not pick up a disease, but you're
mhm.
definitely going to be transferring some of that energy from the person is definitely going to be transferred to you.
But it's like you're making yourself an open leakage, like, all what you do technically, it's done in vain.
Waste of time. Yeah. All right.
Oh, yes. Okay. So, where are we? Okay, so one of the first thing that you can do at home is to use sesame oil, warm sesame oil, and to massage your lower abdomen for let's say 20 to 30 minutes and then sit in a tub with lukewarm water in it, because the warmth is going to help dispel any acid you have in your immediate tissue. So it's going to help to relieve, this burning sensation.
Okay.
All right. Another home remedy that you can use is neem leaves. So you could use powdered like ground neem leaves. I think
Mm-hmm.
that nowadays you find that commonly, especially in the Indian supermarkets. A lot of neem powder is available wherever. So what do you do with that powder? Um, you can make a paste and apply it to your tissues, whether you are a man or whether you are a woman. It will help. But the best usually is to consume it internally. So you either take the powder and you add it to a cup of water and you drink it, or add it to a smoothie. I would like to remind you guys that neem is extremely bitter, extremely bitter. Okay. And you can also drink neem tea if you can manage the bitterness. All right. Or maybe use neem capsules. But just remember that it's bitter, but it's very good to clear infection.
Okay.
Right? Basil also is very good, so I would advise that people add a few, let's say, but at least a dozen leaf, and you drink that tea as strong as possible. Okay, we recommend again to drink a lot of water, at least 10 glasses per day, so that you could pass the urine as much as possible. So usually the reflex would be to hold it back, because you know it's going to burn. You might be sitting on the toilet or standing in front of the toilet and you're holding it back because you know it's going to burn. But it means that the acidity remain in your tissue and it's going to be even worse later on. So it is better to drink as much as possible, to urinate as much as possible, to help it to help to wash the toxins out of your body and to stop any possible infection if there is an infection. And then after, we have the cucumber. So cucumber is cold, so you don't even really have to put it in the fridge. So drinking cucumber juice is very helpful because it is very diuretic. I also say that you could also add some lime or lemon juice into your cucumber juice,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and drink it about 3 times per day. When my eldest daughter was a baby, she used to have eczema a lot. I was breastfeeding my daughter, but I was a healthy lifestyle. It's like I started to be interested in having a healthy lifestyle when I became a mother.
Okay.
So before that, all I care about is not to be fat, not to have a big belly, because I have other part of my body that are properly. So I didn't want to have a big belly in addition to this. So for me, healthy lifestyle was as long as I don't have a big belly. But when I became
Okay.
a mother and I had to breastfeed my daughter, I was wondering, but how come she always have eczema? And because I didn't know much, every minute she was under antibiotics, so it was making the eczema worse. It took me maybe 6 months to realize on my own that according to what I eat, it would cause her the infection.
Yes.
So she developed a lot of allergies based on the stuff that I used to eat and that she would have as, you know, that she would technically use on a secondary level through the breast milk. Okay,
Okay.
so one of the thing I used to do, I never used to give her fruit juice when she was a baby, and every day I would give her cucumber juice with lime. So that was her juice, and people used to watch my child like an alien drinking this green juice every day. But when you start early, and they enjoy it, they're so happy to get the glass of juice because that's the
Okay.
only juice they get. Okay, and this really helped with her skin, and today she's a beautiful young lady, and nobody can believe that she had the eczema so badly off when she was younger. Beside drinking cucumber juice, because to me it doesn't have a bad taste, but some people don't like it. Okay,
Well, yeah, if I might interrupt for a second.
sure.
Cucumber seems to be a very, very good source of nutrients. You mentioned it for solving this particular problem.
Mhm.
But for men who are trying to build up their sperm count, cucumber is also one of the things that are recommended together with guava leaves. Right, I just wanted to interject. So that is one additional use of cucumber juice.
Of cucumber juice, yes. Okay, so also people who have hold on, let me get back to the right window. People who experience water retention usually are advised not to drink too much of cucumber juice and or not to eat too much of cucumber. So it was a very difficult story between me and the cucumber juice when I became more knowledgeable in Ayurveda and I realized that it was not the best for my particular biochemistry because I really do like cucumber. Okay, so sometimes you
Okay.
feel like you may use something because it is generally good for something, but it might actually make matters worse for you in terms of your own clock and your own balance. So people who cannot use, let's see, people who are suffering with water retention, instead of drinking cucumber juice, what you can do is simply like cut the cucumber, peel off the skin, and cut it in slices. And then you would
Okay.
apply the slices to your genitals. Okay. Remember, I said to cut it in slices. I didn't say to use it in any other way. And therefore, sometimes we use it on the face as a mask. So technically, you will be using it in that way as well to bring relief to your tissue and it would absorb the toxin as well. So when you're done, of course, you discard the cucumber. You can't use it to eat afterwards, okay, because it has absorbed toxins. So you trash it afterwards, okay.
All
So
right. But yeah, again, I mean, maybe most of your clients is women. This is why you could suggest all these things with
most of
contact with
the
the
indeed,
genitals
indeed,
because
indeed.
I'm telling you, men definitely, have a lot of reservations when it comes to anything concerning their genitals.
I agree because I do in terms of peristeen health. So in terms of this treatment, I deal especially with women, and the very few men that I deal with is because their wives drag them to get that steam. Okay,
Okay.
but men don't usually come for those things. The only time a man is gonna come to me is because
Things
it's
very
low
bad.
about certain, and so they would tell me it cannot stand, it's not standing long enough, or maybe there's not enough sperm, and then they would say, okay, what can I get? But otherwise, as I say, men like to keep this private until they can't keep it private anymore. Like, every time you need to pass, you feel like you got to scream in the bathroom, and it's only for so long,
But I mean,
that you can keep it to yourself.
what could I say? Men have very big egos. That's
What
just
did you
the
say
way
about
we are.
I didn't hear you?
No, I don't want to say that again. Yeah.
Okay. But I took the chance to have this conversation this afternoon about it. Why? Because it is usually something that people feel uncomfortable to speak about. Okay, I know that when I used to teach in public school and I had those health classes, my especially the girl student, they would just flood me with questions, and I would be surprised that they would wait to be in school to ask for those information, because for me, I'm like, but why don't you ask your mother? But sometimes even the mother mightn't be that comfortable, having the conversation. So it is good. Yes, someone is asking for the second time. I'm listing them little one by one. And yes, Quansilty is very good for treat anything that is related to the urinary tract. I was trying to leave it for a little later so that I don't lose track of what I have listed. But yes, you can use it as well. Okay. Another one is the tender coconut. So not like the hard one when it's already brown and you have to be like using a knife to dig the flesh. When it is very young, you could use the coconut water to wash your genitals, but also to drink it. Okay. So let me specify myself. If you're drinking it, you're drinking it. If you're using it to wash your genitals, you discard it afterwards. Okay, but we don't do both with it, so it's only one use. Okay, so it's very diuretic as well, just like cucumber, and so that's something very healthy. And by coconut water, I really mean from the young coconut. I don't mean I just, like, my daughter just brought me one, like the one in the can. I don't mean that one, really,
Okay,
from
so you're saying it must be a very young coconut. Should it have
that one.
jelly in it? Should it have
Yeah,
jelly in it or no?
yeah, with jelly in it, as long as it is tender, it's fine.
All
Okay,
right.
no jelly, it's even better. Okay, but if it is already hard inside, no, it doesn't work for you.
All right. So you're saying the young coconut It works
Young
very
coconut,
good for
yes.
any type of urinary obstruction or problem.
Yes, because it brings the
Okay.
temperature of the body down. It helps the metabolism, and it especially help to remove harmful bacteria. Okay,
Okay.
and
So
if
it
especially the men who may have those stones, it will also help to dissolve the stones. So it is good to
kidney
drink.
stones. Kidney
Yes.
stones.
Mhm.
Okay.
So at least twice a day. At least twice a day. I don't know for you guys, but here in San Martin, when we buy, the 1.5 liter bottle of coconut water, that is 10 US. I really don't know how much you guys are spending on this. I suppose that you guys have more coconut trees than we do in San Martin.
We
So
we
it will.
have coconut trees, but we pay premium price for coconut water though.
I don't understand. I don't understand where we're going in the Caribbean, honestly. But it is true that if you're spending 10 US dollars on a bottle, and if you're overseas, maybe even more, okay? Um, you mightn't be able to drink 2 or 3 bottles per day. We understand that, but at least twice a day, at least,
Okay.
and then you drink a lot of water. Ginger is known to be antibacterial and also anti-inflammatory, and but not everybody is able to use ginger when they are experiencing the burning sensation. Okay, so I don't really recommend ginger as a drink when you have that particular situation, because it may add to the irritation and to the burning sensation that you have. So I would say that it is better to use those other herbal solution that we have spoken about than to use ginger for that particular um, condition. Okay. Okay, now I found that some of my colleagues who work with Ayurveda, in order to
Mhm.
counterbalance the burning sensation of the ginger, they would mix it with milk. For me, I'm not an
Okay.
advocate of cow milk, okay, but this is also something that you can do. Mix it with a different type of milk, for example, coconut, oats milk, almond. All right, but again, as I say, it's like there are so many other options, so I feel like it is not a must to use ginger for that particular condition.
All right.
Okay, let's speak about carrot juice. So carrot juice, drinking that every day, it helps to build your immunity. It helps to fight against bacteria, and especially it helps into improving your normal pH. Okay, so the pH
Okay.
of your urine. So drinking carrot juice as well is going to help to relieve the burning sensation. So
Okay.
you have a few juices. So we spoke about the carrot juice, we spoke about the cucumber juice, and also coconut water. So if you fall in the category where you don't like neither of those, well, you can always drink tea. Remember the tea that we spoke about? We spoke about the neem leaf, and we also spoke about the corn silk. Okay.
Yeah.
And also, you could use cardamom tea or coriander seeds, because both are anti-inflammatory, and they help to protect against those type of infection. All right.
Okay.
Okay, so the cardamom in particular, mixed with parsley, you can mix, parsley and cardamom, because this is going to help to remove toxins from the blood overall, and it prevents, bladder stones or other type of inflammation that can transfer to your urinary tract. And one that I almost forget mentioning is cranberry juice. So cranberry
Okay.
juice is something that we think about all the time. You know, when I told you about the topic for today, your answer right away was cranberry juice. Yes, we always use cranberry juice as well in our Caribbean, traditions for
Yes.
urinary tract infection. But what's the name of that brand? There's Ocean Spray, and I think there's another brand. Not those. Okay. If
Okay.
you're going to use cranberry juice, you need to use real unsweetened. There's a feedback. Okay, you have to use,
Sorry, guys.
we recommend that you use real unsweetened cranberry. All right, so this you might find it in an organic store, or if you live, for example, in Europe or in the USA, you may find that maybe like an Indian supermarket, African supermarket, or those you're gonna find, the dry fruit. Okay, and let me see if I have any. Okay, I'll recommend also the Shilajit tonic. Okay, Shilajit is something that we use a lot in Ayurveda, and
Mm-hmm.
definitely it helps to draw out the toxins. So this is also something that you can have. In terms of buying your shilajit, make sure you buy this one. You may want to get it either from an authentic um, Indian supermarket, or you get it from the health store, or you may get it also from a trusted practitioner. So not necessarily the one who have a shelf packed with 2 million products, because you don't know
Okay.
how long it has been there. And I must say that shilajit is an extract from a mineral. We get it usually from certain stones. Um, Sometimes people may actually just extract the shilajit from the dirt, which is nothing wrong with it. But you may want the person to have a certain ethics that they may use like proper dirt, probably that they went to really dig really far,
Okay.
and not
That's
the
not
dirt.
contaminated.
Exactly. All right. So we have to be careful with shilajit. So the more expensive, the better. Okay.
Okay.
And with shilajit tonic, you really don't need much at all. Okay, so those are the one that I really wanted to speak about. But it is important to say that people who are experiencing dysuria, usually they have to especially pay attention to other symptoms. You hardly ever experience dysuria on its own. So, for example, you would have to pay attention to whether you have problem eliminating. Are you constipated? Okay, what's the color of your urine? Because your urine might be clear, and if it is clear, maybe you ate something that's not going with you. Maybe it was too spicy, maybe it was expired, because your urine is still clear, and then maybe it's not infectious. Okay, but if your urines are dark, it's yellow, it's cloudy, it's scanty, it's smelling, then it's a little more complicated. So you have to pay attention to the associated symptoms. All right,
All
something
right.
that people. Yes.
Yeah. I want to ask, but you know what? Let me let you finish because maybe you normally do that to me. I ask a question and you tell me, no, just now I'm going to get the answer to it. So
Okay,
let me let
Alex.
you finish and then I would save my questions for after.
Sure. Okay, so it is true that whenever we have this problem, we try to pay attention to everything that's concerning the urination. Okay, but you also have to pay attention to your stool. Not just the stool. Are you passing a lot of gas? Do you have like irregular digestion? Are your gas suddenly smelling really bad, whereas usually it's not? Um, Having dysuria could be also a symptom of candida. We spoke about the yeast infection. It could also be an autoimmune disorder. All right, so that's what I'm saying. It's like for a couple of days when you have used those natural remedies, okay, if you don't see any type of improvement, do not wait. You need to go to a physician to help you deal with the situation. All right. um, you have to pay attention whether you also experiencing nose sinus congestion or post nasal drip. Okay, and yeah, it could be kidney stone, kidney infection. For men, you have to pay attention whether you are experiencing pain in the testicles or semen discharge in the urine. Okay. Also, parasites. So parasite, very often, we don't think about it because we think that parasite it's only when we're passing stool. So whenever you realize that you're having this burning sensation whenever you pass your stool, be strong. Look back and make sure you are not passing parasite in your stool. Okay, because it may be a case of having too many parasite, like a strong imbalance, and therefore it needs to come out from everywhere. All right, so in a
Okay.
case, so yeah, you would need like a strong herbal solution to get rid of the parasite. I'm sure Baba is able to help you with this. I've been helping a lot of people to pass parasite in the past week, to the point where people telling me, nah, too strong. We want something else. And it was not about like no pain associated, you would really go smooth, but it's like sometimes we feel like because we eat healthy, we eat a lot of greens, a lot of provisions. We feel like we may not have parasite, but we forget that parasites are everywhere, especially in the ground. So if you eat a lot of raw food, you have parasite too. And therefore, you should take the time seasonally to say, okay, it's time to detox and flush out properly. Because you could be detoxing and not passing out the parasite. Okay.
Okay.
So colonics are great to take to get rid of the parasite, but me, I'm really old school. Okay, the parasite is out when you can see it in the stool, and after a while you don't see anymore, then you know you are back to a proper balance.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, we have a couple more minutes.
sure.
So I think probably you're close to finishing. So I don't know if
Yes,
I
yes,
might get to
yes.
ask more questions, but go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Baba. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Let me get your question.
Well, you mentioned some things there. You mentioned the constipation
Yes.
or the stool. You didn't say constipation exactly, but you say stool and changes.
Mhm.
Now, in the case of a man, would that be related to the prostate being enlarged?
To have like to be constipated and to have an enlarged prostate.
Yeah. Would it cause urinary problem as well as constipation?
But yes, because what happened is that we are reaching at one particular area of the body. So when one organ, when one of sorry, I was in my French. Sorry. When one organ is no, you're really stepping on the French. Sorry. Let me drink some water. We French people we go and dig
Well,
the alphabet.
I have to ask these questions for the male viewers, because I noticed most of your program content this week seemed to be more on the female side. So you answered that question. So now
Sure.
the other question now
Mhm.
concerning urinary problems could also be problems related to the bladder and
Mhm.
also to the kidney.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, because as it says, like the most thing is that we have to pay attention once we have eliminated the external reason of developing dysuria, which means like either through sexual intercourse or because of the cosmetic we use, okay, or maybe even a treatment or what are some of the ways to fully detox? We may not be able to speak about this right now in full, but I'm gonna make sure to take it into consideration for the next topic. Okay, but whenever you I forget what you asked because I pay attention to Latoya's question. Sorry,
No, I
and I'm
was
trying
asking
to
about the
finish on
kidney and
time.
the bladder. We we
Okay,
running we running over, but it's no problem. So
okay,
we'll
short.
just do the extra time.
All right. So usually when you have an organ that is not functioning optimally and that is imbalanced, it is going to cause the other organs to overwork, or they are not going to be able to work properly. So if your bladder or your kidney is inflamed and is using more energy from your body to be able to try to function more or less optimally, what's going to happen is that there's going to be less energy passing through your colon to expel. So usually you're going to find yourself, being constipated. Um, Usually, we are told by medical physicians that you don't need to stool more than 2-3 times per day. If you eat 3-4 times per day, optimally you need to go at least 2 to 3 times per day. Because if you eat 3 times per day or 4 times per day every day, so that's let's say about 21 meals more or less per week, but you only
Wow.
go off 3 times for the week. What happened to everything else? So you are experiencing a backup, and this backup is going to cause sooner or later several type of organ dysfunction or inflammation, parasite, and so on. So it is
Bacterial infection and even cancer.
etc. Because you have a backup into your lymph and your bloodstream, so it has to come out in a different way. So constipation is something to really look into. When my children were young, the minute I would realize they had a fever, I would give them Senate to drink as young as they were and bathe them in any type of bush to force them to go to the bathroom. So once they would have like couple bowel movement, sometimes it would come out green because they would be young, they were babies, but you would realize sometimes that when they have those bowel movement, the fever is gone.
All
So
right. Yeah,
before you
we've really stretched the show. You have
sure
a minute. You have one
to
minute
close it
and
up.
about 40 seconds to close off.
Sure. So what I want to say definitely is that before we get overwhelmed sometime in thinking that having these symptoms is something bad, we also have to remember first of the environment, what we use on our body, but especially what we eat. Okay, because we drink a lot of stuff, a lot of juice, a lot of soda, a lot of refined goods. So therefore, those are going to leave us also with this type of imbalance. All right. So that's for the topic for this evening. And for women, sometimes it is persistent. So also you may be able to use yoni steaming. Not any type of yoni steaming is yoni steaming with the proper herbs to treat this particular issue. And men can also benefit from steaming, but I can understand that a man might be uncomfortable going to a man to steam, but also going to a woman to steam. Okay, but
Okay.
it is very efficient.
All right. So, given the question that one of the callers asked, would next week topic be detoxification?
Okay, so normally next week we normally we're supposed to have a guest with Dr. Akpe from Nigeria to speak about stress, but
Okay.
I am going to correlate with him because I know that in his presentation he will definitely speak about the various way of getting a proper detox of the body. So what we're going to do is I'm going to keep a little section to speak about detoxification. Okay, and so the rest will be addressed by Dr. Akpe in terms of stress management.
All right. Well, thank you so much,
My
Doc. This
pleasure.
week's show was very informative. And to all the viewers, we are thankful that you joined us this week. And
Thank
we would
you.
ask you to join us next week. And this is the end of our show for this week. And we would like to say, see you next week and Odabo.
Odabo.